please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
A very good morning. Welcome to Chartbusters. Well, this is the show where we'll highlight all the buzzing stocks of the day. As we speak, the Nifty is holding mildly in the green in an otherwise, dull environment. You have the rupee that's moved towards that 73 odd mark. You have bond yields as well at around 8.2%. And the Asian markets on the whole, they're trading in the red. So if I want to be a bull, Mangalam, I'll say that we're doing a relative outperformance in today's trading session.
All right, that's as far as the markets are concerned. First things first, wish you a very, very happy birthday, Nigel. It's going to be a special one.
It's going to be a very special one, Mangalam. And I remember last year, we had a commitment, right? I said that, I'll become a father. Okay. And you had to fulfill your part of the commitment. So hopefully before next birthday of mine, you'll be a married man as well, irrespective of what Credit Suisse is saying in terms of Titan and whether or not there are weddings happening in the next 3 months. You've got the next 12 months. So hopefully you fulfill your part of the commitment. But thanks so much for your wishes today. It's going to be a special one.
We will await clarity on that fulfillment, because that is not just one person. That's more than one people.
There are plenty out there, so you might as well go ahead and find it.
No, that's not what we're talking about.
All right.
But the important part, where's the party? Because tomorrow is a holiday. So there could be something tonight.
The responsibility is now coming along, Mangalam, so, I can't comment on that. But
does that explain why Prabhat Dairy is up 3%, 4% and United Spirits is off the high point of the day?
Yeah, I mean, no United Spirits for sure now, but I'll tell you what, United Spirits, in fact, we have a Credit Suisse note that's coming in there. They're saying that, input costs are going to go up, and that's why they've cut their estimates. So United Spirits definitely should be a stock that you'll be looking at. But let's keep United Spirits aside. I assure you, I'll give you a treat in the next couple of hours.
All right, we will await that treat. But first up, all the top stories that we're tracking this morning. There has been relentless pressure on the rupee. It continues as the currency hovers near 73 per dollar level. The 10-year benchmark bond yield expands past 8.2%, the highest level seen in the last 4 years.
And Titan reels under some pressure today. Credit Suisse cuts its target price to 935 rupees. They've reduced their FY19 and 20 EPS estimates by 2 to around 3%. The brokerage also expects demand to slow down in the near term.
FMCG stocks, they recover after falling about 10% from recent highs. The management of Marico continues to target 8 to 10% volume growth for FY19. Manish Sonthalia of Motilal Oswal Asset Management says serious shift out of consumption will happen only when the capex cycle recovers.
An oil marketing company is there under some pressure. Crude oil prices surge and they hover to levels of around $80 per barrel. This after the US weekly inventories fell and sanctions against Iran, that's looming large.
Reddington in focus, the board to mull share buyback on September 17th. However, the stock off the high point of the day, remember, it was up 6% in yesterday's session itself.
Okay, all right. As we speak then, the Nifty again is trying to make a bit of an up move. The problem is any kind of up move is getting sold into. So just keep an eye out on that front. But the rupee is showing some weakness and the farmer index is expected to gain. And that's the index that's really bucking the trend in the last few minutes. So the rupee is holding at around 72.8 odd. The pharma index comes up for you. You have Sun Pharma that's moved to the high point of the day. Lupin as well is moving along. And in fact, in terms of Vedanta, there has been some selling pressure. We'll have to wait by to see when exactly that selling pressure sees some kind of exhaustion. Then we could see a bit of a bounce on the stock. So keep an eye out on that one as well. But how do you trade the Nifty from here? Ashwini Gujral joins in. Hi Ashwini, good morning. 11,300 on the index. This bounce on the Nifty would be a good shorting opportunity. Do you believe that in fact, we could see a bit of a bounce in today's trading session?
See, my sense is that we are not getting great follow through below 11,250. And 11,250 is an important mark because that was where a few of the tops and bottoms etc. were made. Now that being the case, and given that this market is quite short, in case you get a bit of a positive on something, rupee or crude or something, the banks and the Nifty look like poised. They could have a bit of a comeback rally. Now even a small comeback rally on Bank Nifty futures could be about 27,100, and on the Nifty that could be going back Nifty futures to about 11,400 thereabouts. So if you are short, my sense would be to cut down those shorts and maybe look at playing for a bounce, because the market has quietened up and just a little bit of positivity from somewhere, and given that it's expiry, you could see a bit of short covering, because the private banks, HDFC Bank, Kotak Mahindra Bank, State Bank are now trading in the green. So obviously there has been some amount of short covering, but the risk reward is basically today's low as a stop and get into long positions and hope for something to happen. Having said that, Axis Bank is still a short because today is the first day it's kind of coming off. So Axis Bank is a sell with a stop of 638, target of 610. Jet Airways a sell with a stop of 266, target of 250. And ABB is a very interesting stock. All of these days when the markets have come off, ABB has gone up. So that's a buy with a stop of 1400, target of 1510.
Right, Ashwini, thanks a lot for that. Meanwhile, just a couple of questions from the FMCG perspective, because I remember you telling us earlier that, you know, these are stocks that you buy on declines, not at rallies. They have corrected about 10-11% from the low point, from the high point earlier. We have some recovery there. The likes of Dabur, Nestle, Godrej Consumer, all of them up anywhere between 3 to 3.5%. Do you think one should await entering right now, or maybe this is a good time?
See, given that markets have come off quite a bit, it's reached important supports. This is a time to start building up for a play of a counter trend move on the upside. It may not get to fresh highs, but say maybe 11,450, 500. So these are the kind of stocks which will pick up. It's generally the halo group which tends to recover. So things like Bajaj Finance, HUL. My sense is even some of the large private banks, they could participate in a bit of a short covering move. So that way they can be bought. But longer term, maybe the market needs to move lower if you have to go there. But these are good stocks to buy from here, and they could easily recover 5 to 8% in any sort of upside rally.
Right, Ashwini. So that's as far as the markets are concerned. Let's put on our party hats right now. Any word of advice that you would like to give our friend here who is celebrating his birthday today?
Well, happy birthday, Nigel. And I hope you have the whole day of tomorrow to celebrate. But advice from Manglam: learn about commitment from Salman Khan.
Thanks so much for that, Ashwini.
Thanks a lot. He said it.
Spot on.
Spot on. Okay, thank you, Ashwini, for joining in. With that, we'll focus on the...
Is that an excuse, Mangalam?
That's a good excuse, actually. Thank you for that, Ashwini. Okay, let's talk about the BPCL stock. Earlier, our colleague Yash Jain caught up with D. Rajkumar, the CMD of BPCL, began by asking him about the gross refining margins we can expect to see going forward. Keeping in mind, remember, the crude and their inventory trajectory. Listen into that conversation. The OMC pack under focus right now, under some pressure.
Last year we did about 6.85 and this quarter is 7.49. It will be difficult for us to talk about the second quarter and for the year, and it will be only hazarding a guess, so I don't think I'll be able to give you a number, but we can only talk about what happened in the last quarter, which is 7.49, and we have done well both at the Mumbai refinery as well as at the Kochi refinery.
But would it be a realistic target to at least have GRMs of more than $7 a barrel going forward?
We are hoping that we should be able to achieve that kind of a number, and we are expecting that as far as Kochi refinery is concerned, the GRM should improve, basically because we have just completed the integrated refinery expansion project, which has taken the Nielsen index complexity index to a larger number. It's about 10.4 now. So with that, I think we should be looking at improving our GRMs there.
What kind of pressure do you see coming from the depreciating rupee and the crude prices going forward? How do you see these two factors impacting your margins?
I think you can already see that the fuel prices are going up at the RSP level. Now, any $1 increase in crude prices per barrel is going to result in something like 45 paisa at the ESPP level, that is the storage point level, and 1 rupee depreciation would result in something like 54 paisa impact on the oil prices, petrol and diesel prices. Now, this is the kind of impact that we see. Now, as far as our margins are concerned, the margins are to a large extent it is fixed. We are talking about something like at the gross margin level, something like 2 rupees per litre that we are talking about. So that stays there. But of course, the impact is on our containing our operating cost, everything like within this the GRM within the gross margin that is available to us.
Any indication from the government with respect to absorbing some of the future price hikes which the company would be taking, looking at the crude trajectory?
There are, I wish to confirm that there is no pressure, there is no communication or rather expectation that we should be absorbing the price increase or price hike at this point in time.
Okay. Speaking about the issue of import of Iranian crude, of course, as a part of the 2+2 dialogue between India and US also, there was a request which came from US essentially asking India to reduce the Iranian import of crude and taking it to zero. How do you think a company like BPCL would really tackle that issue and manage its imports from Iran?
As far as Iran, sanctions on Iran is concerned, you know that the winding period is there till 4th of November and till September. So, we are importing to the tune of 3.08 million metric tons out of 4.25 million metric tons that we were planning to import from Iran. So, which is approximately 75%. This 75% we are importing, we would have imported in about 6 months' time. Now the balance is again, even in that 4.25, 2 million metric ton was basically an optional quantity as far as BPCL is concerned. Right. Now we would have gone ahead and then imported probably another 0.56 million metric tons only. So as far as again BPCL is concerned, this 0.56 million metric tons, there are other sources which we can look to import from. And parallelly, government is also engaging with the Indian government is also engaging with the US government to try and see that there is some kind of a relaxation that is provided to India. So we are hoping that if something like that happens, then possibly we'll continue with our imports at probably the reduced levels.
Well, in the last few minutes, you're seeing Mahindra & Mahindra has moved to the low point of the day, and some of those flashes, that were just up for you on the screen is that the US Trade Commission, they have said that they'll launch an investigation into a complaint that's filed by Fiat Chrysler Automobiles. This has been going on for some time in terms of, the filing of this particular complaint. But what's happened now is that what's new is that the US International Trade Commission, they're saying they're going to launch an investigation. What's really the infringement that they're talking about? The commission has said that, Fiat Chrysler has complained about violations under Section 337 of the US Tariff Act. That deals really with the import into the US. So basically they're talking about, copying a similar model, and this has been going on for some time. I think it's a model that's similar to what the Thar is, which we see on Indian roads.
That's right, and a cursory Google search or something that says that when they had sometime last month that the formal complaint was filed by Fiat Chrysler, and on 29th August itself, Mahindra had fired back claiming that Fiat Chrysler's automobile patent complaint is without more information is sought now. So that is the sum and substance of that. Now the US regulator has said they will probe complaint against this, and this will go on. We will await developments on that. Meanwhile, the stock, it's recovered a little from the low point of the day. We await some clarity on this. With that, we slip into a short break. Come back. The cabinet is set to meet today to discuss new MSP options as well as a possible hike in ethanol prices. We'll get you those details back. Let's shift focus now to the top story this morning. The rupee extends its decline. Lata joins us with all details. Lata, started gradually, then suddenly?
Yes, started gradually and then a big fall over the past few days. So, that metaphor is holding for about 2 weeks now. In fact, it's better to say another day, another low. It opened flat, and then you started seeing the demand for dollars come in. At about 72.92, you saw a goodish bit of supply of dollars. Now, dealers tell us that private sector banks and public sector banks supplied dollars. So probably there were some exporters selling as you got to 93. You know, these big figures are always attractive. And definitely there is Reserve Bank working at the old stand and supplying dollars, just removing volatility. But I suppose they won't stand in the way because it looks like a broad-based EM sell-off each day a little bit. 72.92 apparently is also a technical support level, and after that is 73. So there could be a little more supply of dollars in those places. Many people would have written options also at that level. So you could see a supply at those 2 points. But no one is telling you that the rupee has fallen enough, which itself is a good sign. If everyone is negative, then perhaps for the moment, you will not see too much of bad news.
Okay, all right, Lata, thanks so much for that. Well, in fact, earlier today, we spoke to a lot of currency watchers. Let's hear what they had to tell us.
The fair value for the rupee is probably around where it is now, about 73. But the RBI will not intervene. We don't think it will, because it realizes, and I think rightly so, that if you continue to get pressure on the entire emerging market asset class, you're just, going up against, well, ultimately you're going up against the Federal Reserve. And you remember that famous expression, don't fight the Fed, but you're going up against a force that's too big to fight, really. So I don't expect the rupee to fall another 13%.
Whenever we have these sort of sentiments, I mean, sooner or later the market would tend to bottom. And of course, all this panic is coming at the back of the rupee fall. Of course, overvaluation or undervaluation is a debatable point on the rupee given the long-term real effective exchange rates. But sentimentally, of course, emerging market currencies are down. So can we see some more fall? Maybe you can.
Unfortunately, we are looking at further downside of the rupee. And of course, for this week, market is basically, I think, paying attention to the trade numbers, which is going to come out in the next couple of days. And basically, the theme about currencies, which run a trade deficit, current account deficit, continue to be targeted by the market. So I think that until we see on the external front, the dollar start to weaken or data start to improve in India, there could be little relief for the currency in the near term.
All right, with that we move on to the next big story. The cabinet in its meet today likely to discuss new minimum support price options as well as approve a 25% increase in ethanol prices. Rituparna, who's tracking that, is with us right now with the highlights. Rituparna, take it away.
Well, three options for the new MSP scheme. Firstly, a market assurance scheme, which is basically a decentralized procurement and disposal by state agencies. The second option is a price efficiency and payment scheme, just like the one we have in Madhya Pradesh, that's called Pavantar. So that's the second option. And the third one is basically allowing empaneled private agencies to procure in coordination, of course, with government agencies, including FCI and NAFED. So these are the three options. And we expect this new mechanism to be effective from the upcoming Kharif marketing season beginning October. The second proposal that we understand will be taken up is a 25% hike in ethanol. For B-heavy molasses, the proposal is to hike the prices from rupees 47 rupees 13 paise to rupees 59 rupees per litre. And for C-heavy molasses, the proposal is to increase prices from rupees 43.46 to rupees 53 rupees per litre. As far as the MSP options are concerned, the thing that we have to wait and see is what will be the exact cost that the government will have to bear because of these new MSP options that will be approved. With that, it's back to you.
All right. Thanks so much for that, Rituparna. Now, 25 years of listing today, and the management is quite hopeful of achieving their 2020 goals. Let's hear out what the management had to tell us on their outlook going ahead.
I think one of the biggest things that we are very grateful for is that our investors are very well attuned to the fact that it's not a top-line growth company. It's actually cash in the bank, or what we said, the ability to have a visual identification for the top line and bottom line. My investors would be very, very happy to see that we may not have hit bang on 18 billion, but we definitely have met our bottom line targets. So it's all about a combination of these two things. If it was only top line, believe me, it's relatively very easy in these turbulent times. It's very easy to go and pick up companies just for the top line. I think where the pain is that the governments, the car makers, the people in general are trying to figure out what is the real thing which is going to pass them that particular benefit of cleaner fuels or cleaner air or whatever is the conditions over there. What we are trying to tell mother-son people is that you have to be on your toes, you have to be very quick to respond, very quick to change, very quick to be able to take advantage of the trends and the things that are coming in the coming times.
I think the next 10 years are going to be super exciting with all the changes and things that are happening in the automotive industry. There's going to be a lot of opportunities for us at Motherson. But we at Motherson focus on our 5-year goals. So we are quite focused on the 2020 target at the moment. As you can imagine, we still have a little way to go. And all the teams are quite focused on making sure that we can deliver that target for 2020. So once we get close to that 2020 target, we will set the next 5-year plan for 2025, and hopefully that will give you a good color as to where we want to go in that 5-year period. We at Motherson are focusing on 3CX15. That means no customer, no component, no country should be more than 15% of our business. We've also announced that we are moving into rolling stocks. We're moving into different verticals as the times progress. So after this 2020 period, we will be looking at getting more exposure into not just the passenger cars, but also all the affiliates in the automotive world, and as well as some other sectors which are synergistic to the automotive, but will give us another exposure and drive future growth of Motherson for the next 5-year period. We will come out with the next 5-year plan, but at least till 2020, we want to maintain this dividend ratio payout. We've said that we are going to introduce Motherson into new sectors out of automotive as well. So we will need investments for that. And I think we will plan all of that out. But till 2020, I think all the dividend payout ratios and our goals are very, very clearly slated for us and for the entire team. And we'll focus on that till 2020. And then I think, from the 2020 to 2025 period, we'll discuss, see what's required and come back to the market with something that's exciting. And of course, will not be short on growth either, because Motherson is a growth-focused company. And I believe that the next 5-year period as well, we want to show a lot of growth.